Simon, there's been a bit of time now for the dust to settle after what can only be described as quite a shocking and disappointing defeat in the first round of the playoffs. York City Knights coming to the Shane, knocking us out at the first opportunity. When you look back on that game, where do you think it went wrong?
Well, I'll jump back before that. It's unfortunate our game's set up. It is what it is. Playoffs kind of define your season, but I think we have to acknowledge the season we've had. I think we had a really good season. Played a really good brand of rugby, exciting brand that I think everyone's enjoyed watching. Scored some great tries. Put a few teams to the sword at times as well, which are really good to watch. I thought we've had a really good season on the pitch. And yeah, leading to that game, favourites, and probably rightly so. And I think York turned up and they were great, to be fair. They turned up with a nothing to lose mentality. I mean, the start of the game was a trick kick and we probably saw a dozen more as they went on, and a high percentage of them kicks went their way, kind of typifying some of the night for us really. I still think we had enough at half time, being up at half time, to go on and win. We just didn't play how we play. We saved probably one of our poorer performances for what was the most important. It was the grand final, wasn't it? Yeah, so really disappointing, but you either crumble and sulk about it forever or you move on and get over it. Immediately after the game, I spoke to lads about an experience I had as a player and did it one year with Warrington where we'd had a really strong season, and then we bowed out in similar fashion in playoffs when we were expected to win. We'd beat the team we were playing comfortably only weeks before, and for whatever reason a few blokes just weren't the races, and obviously that nothing to lose mentality can be really dangerous when you've got quality players. So yeah, that happened to me as a player, so I've been in their shoes, but you have to own it, take responsibility for it and move forward and use it as motivation really. And the following year I think we got Challenge Cup winners, league leaders and grand final. We lost the grand final, but yeah, we used it in the right way, so the challenge is there for us really, just to put it behind us, again accept it, acknowledge our part in it, and then move on, because that's last year now, it's done. We start thinking ahead now and working out our next shot at it.
You mentioned it could be a case of victims of our own success, maybe taking your eye off the ball, looking at 1 week ahead. I think overconfidence you could describe as we've seen it in obviously the league. Featherstone getting knocked out by Batley, maybe underestimating.
I disagree with any of that. We always played the season really 1 week at a time, and York, for whatever the team they had on paper and all the rest of it, tried to make it, we're prepared for York's best team, and as I say, they did their bit in the game. They came and played a really good game in the circumstances and a game plan that suited them best with the personnel, and we just didn't get our game plan off. They're the cold facts of it. Statistically it was pretty poor as well, which obviously supports the opinion, but no, we didn't. It was nothing like that, to be honest. I think externally people were talking us up a bit more, which was a bit of a concern, to be honest. But yeah, we lost, we move on. A couple of days of sulking, digesting it I suppose, and then you move on. And yeah, obviously as you mentioned, Batley went to Featherstone, which I felt we had a really, after the game against Featherstone the week before, I felt should we get there we'd be a strong chance, and Batley went and played really well against all odds and sort of upset the apple cart really. I think everyone in the game at the beginning of the year had Fev and Lee down for a grand final, and what a story that is, Batley to get there, and I'm sure they'll go and give a good account of themselves against a very strong Lee. I think it's probably too big a task for them. It's too big a task for anyone, to be fair. This year Lee have been that good, that's fair to say. But freakish things happen. A couple of red cards in the first 20 minutes might go down well, and Batley could go on and steal the spoils. But yeah, I think they've had a good season. It's been a great championship really. Fev just been too good for the majority the majority of the season. Too good for the majority of us. Then that batch of us underneath, really close, and for a couple more wins York could have come third, a couple more losses we could have come sixth. That's how tight it's been in amongst. And from what I read in the papers, I don't know, I'm not that well connected. I speak to a few coaches, but it seems like everyone seems to be spending and going for it next year, and with benefactors in the background. So for us, I think it's a matter of getting our heads down and being smart about our business and trying to stick with them next year, and hopefully we can be in that tight mix again.
You mentioned using it as a bit of a learning tool. When we look back on 2022, we were a bit of a slow start in the league. We then went on these really long winning runs to sort of bring ourselves back into the mix. When you look ahead to 2023, is that something that you consciously want to fix, that we hit the ground running from round one?
I think it's every year everyone wants to start well. For whatever reason, we just haven't managed it. I think your fixtures, who you play in that time, as a factor. The state of the pitch you're playing on as a factor. And obviously the 17 variables in your team, the 17 in theirs, the referee, all the other things. We don't start the season thinking it's all right, we'll be good by May. That's not what we're after. We will be starting to win the first game and win every one of them as we go along. We'll control what we can, which is being as ready as we can round one. The weather and everything else that comes with it is what it is. But I think it hopefully takes a little bit of heat off, because I think there's a bit of unnecessary panic and pressure at that time of year, as there was the year before, which ended up all right as well. Hopefully we've earned a little bit of, a little bit of trust, if you like, that we're a good enough team that it's a marathon, not a sprint sort of job. We'll get there. But it would be great to start without having that behind you and taking a spot higher up the table earlier on rather than having to earn it back. But either way, if we're finishing that top six and towards the top end of the top six come the end of 2023, I think we can all be really happy and say we've probably punched above our weight again.
We'll have a word then for a departing long-standing servant of the club, Ed Barber, retired after the York game. Just how important has he been to this club during his 8 seasons here?
He's been mega. I remember coming down, and I watched a few games at the end of the 15 season, and then I didn't play, I think, in the pre-season friendlies. My legs still weren't right and whatnot. I remember seeing Ed and just watching him play, talented rugby player, and thinking, something there, why is he here? Basically, is what I was thinking, because he's got everything. Just sometimes the opportunities don't open at the right time for people. I think that's why Ed obviously didn't manage to kick on, but that said, he's had a great career. He's enjoyed it. He's loved it here. Obviously, you could see that in being emotional when he departed and got the Star Man Award, which was much deserved as well. I think this year probably typified Ed. Played a number of positions, played them all well, and that's rarity in a utility. You get some that play really good in one or two. They can just sort of do a job in another. I think Ed did a really good job in the ones he played for us, and so he's a gap to fill as a player, but off the pitch, good bloke, good team man, funny bloke as well. Laughs at his own jokes, so I'm not sure about that bit. And he will be missed. He goes out to rugby union. He's not calling it quits. The queue's not in the rack. He's just family life and all the rest of it. I think that's a better fit for him, and he sees it that way, and absolute respect for that. Whether it's all over and done with, I don't know. You never know. He might get bored of rugby union come the springtime, and we'll see what happens there. We'll definitely be keeping tabs on it, but if that is the end, I think he can bow out knowing he's left the club better than he found it.
And just finally then, as we always seem to do, we'll have a word on the Facts fans who've been really behind the team throughout the whole season, home and away. The Summer Bash was a particular highlight with what's coming up this year for 2023, the 150th anniversary of the club. It's a massive year. How important are they going to be in making sure this club gets back to the top and stays at the top where it belongs?
Yeah, they've been great. I think, without going on and on about it, I think away games have felt like home games a lot, in terms of the support, the vocal support side of things, which has been really good to see and enjoyable. Being a bit rowdy on someone else's patch, if you like, but obviously the performances have earned that as well. They've been good for us. And moving forward, it's a big year for us next year, 150th, and there's just some cold hard facts of the game where we need to get our numbers up in the stand. Who knows what changes are coming, but I think as a club, we're not a wealthy club. We're a try-hard club. Everyone tries hard, and we try to get maximum value out of everyone. And I think we've had good value out of the fans this year. I think all I'd ask is just get behind us again. I mean, most people would say they've enjoyed this year more than they have many others, just with what's been on show, the style of rugby and the confidence which the lads have played with. And we need to just drag a few more people along to watch and support us, and get them hooked, really, like the diehards are, if you like. Get more and more in, and that can only help us. Bums on seats leads to better finances in the background, which inevitably ends up to more on the pitch and all the rest of it. But it's all interlinked. We can't just be great on the field, we need to be great in all areas to try and move forward and stick with a lot of clubs that are putting the foot down and having a go for it and trying to change and evolve in this modern game. I think we've probably been guilty of doing what we've always done for a long time, on the pitch to a degree, certainly off it. It's not for lack of trying, but we don't have great resources. We need everyone's help, and the fans have done the bit this year in terms of support. I just urge them just to try and drag a few more people along, and get a few more diehards hooked in and tragically in love with Halifax forever.
So 2022 season's finished. When we look back on the year as a whole, are there any personal highlights from the year and anything that you would change?
No, I wouldn't change anything, and that's took some reflection over last week, particularly how we finished. I won't change any of it, just sometimes it doesn't go your way. But now over the year, I think highlights are probably winning games in convincing fashion at times. I think we've been guilty in the past of, yes, being favourites in a game, but maybe scraping it by 6-8 points, where I think we've put a few to the sword, which has been really good, showed some skill. I've put a lot of trust in the lads to where not everything's scripted, and I've really enjoyed watching them sort of return that trust, if you like, in it, and express themselves and play some really good stuff, which has been good, confident rugby. But yeah, I think highlights, I think you can't really get away from the ones where Bobby sent off after less than a minute at Bulls, and obviously getting the victory there in a very tough game. The Barrow away, York away, Simbins down to 11, obviously Barrow 2 reds for a significant period against a very good team, and just showing that grit and determination for each other, which is something that has always been there at Halifax. It's wavered at times, but I think we've shown it more often than not this year, which has been really good. And then other than that, I think seeing some of them young lads come through and have some real quality in the game. Lachlan, we knew he was going to be a good player anyway, but I think it took him a little bit of time to get going and grasp what we're asking him to do, but I think he bought in and he got the rewards in the end. Great to see Tibbsy coming through after a year of a bit of limbo, really not playing a lot of rugby. So yeah, loads of highs in there. I could keep going if I thought about it, but you put me on the spot, so I'm just spitting them out as they come. But yeah, it's been a really good year. Memorable, top 3, so 3rd again, twice in a row. And I've said before, Faz, I think the challenge for this club is Featherstone are light years in front, because they've been a consistent club in not only on field but obviously off it as well. But the things that have a big part in and a big say in controlling, along with all those lads that we see out there and we clap on every week, is that consistency. The challenge for us is staying up and in amongst it, and hopefully building in other areas, which makes it a little bit easier to be up there every year. But I think we've set a really good foundation the last couple of years, and now it's just keep building.